Hey gang, Paul here. Welcome to Old Blokes Love Sneakers too. We're doing an interview today. We've got one of our favourites on, Jesse from PushPull. We talk a little business, we talk some serious stuff around what's happening in Australia and in America. We talk about some sneakers a little bit, not a lot of sneakers today, but a really good interview. He's an impressive young man, so listen up. Hey, make sure you check out all our other content. Our Spilling the Kicks is back up this week. We're doing some more around the sneaker in 130 days. Luke is on that. Joel is going through his collection. You can see us on YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify, and all the other places you get your listening material. Hey, welcome to Old Blokes Love Sneakers too. We've got one of our fan favourites here, and one guy who's so generous with his time. How are you, Jess?
I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me today.
No. It's all us, mate. We need to thank you so much. Thank you for PushPull helping us out yet again. They're always here for us, so you need to be there for them. Hey, buddy, it's been a little while since we talked. Wanted to catch up, see how business is going. How's life?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been probably a month or two now, probably since the start of COVID, I think was the last time we chatted.
You sort of touched just as you started it, yep.
Yeah. So, things have been really good. Just sort of beating along to the same drum, sort of just obviously all online at the moment. We have looked into a few more public events and pop-up shops and stuff, but at the moment with the restrictions getting a little tighter out in Melbourne, doesn't look all that promising.
Yeah, so yesterday, we're recording this Sunday morning, so yesterday the Victorian government changed back a little bit, didn't they? So that'll probably affect you in a way.
Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, the good news is we're really trying to establish ourselves online along with everyone else in the world right now. So yeah, I think it won't affect us too much, but we'd love to get out and about in the public, but we'll just have to wait.
Yeah, we'll get there, mate. We'll get there. We'll all keep supporting you. Hey, we've talked a few times, and I noticed we haven't really talked about your logo. You know, you've got the T-shirt on. We're going to pull it up here. Tell me, I think we've just touched on it. How did the logo come about? Here it is. It's coming up on the screen. Look at us, mate. We're all professional now.
There it is. Beautiful. I can pinch and go in and have another look. So yeah, I'm glad you got the text underneath it with PushPull, because as you can see, it's very subtle, and it's funny because almost every person I've ever told this to, including people that have been in the business, don't realize that the I has two P's for PushPull. So that is the mystery resolved. It's a bit of a zodiac symbolism. No, it's not, but it's very subtle. And I think
synthetical.
Yeah, people have seen the smiley face so often on so many of the biggest brands in the world that they just assume potentially that all the smiley faces are the same. And yeah, so that's our little touch of our smiley face, the two P's.
You know what, until you said it, I just thought it was a smiley face. But when you were saying, I'm glad you got the PP, I went, the eyes look like a bit PP. So I just got you. So I just learned just before
it's very subtle. It's very subtle for sure.
So who came up with that? So what was the idea? So obviously the smiley face, and how did you get up? Why was the PP important for you?
That's a good question. I mean, I think one of the toughest things starting a business literally is your logo and your name, because it's almost you overthink it, but then if you underthink it, you think you've underthought it. You just can't win, really. So it took us maybe 3 weeks of just toing and froing. We would have had over 100 names, just thrown up, and we had a lot of people in the business at the stage. Early days, we were probably looking, we had a lot of people sort of putting their hands in, and we just thought, we came up with PushPull shop first, I believe, maybe before the smiley face. And I think I've maybe explained that story before. That was just because I think we've all walked into a door before where we've pushed and it should have pulled and it's awkward. And I thought, everyone can relate to that moment. And yeah, I think it's just relatable. And maybe that's the key for anyone listening. I think relatability is a really big thing. So, if people can get a little feel for it as soon as they read the name, or, I think that always helps. But in regard to the smiley face, we've had him on here, Pat. We just let Pat go to work because he's been, involved in fashion for the longest of time. And I think I've said on here, or anyone that's ever listened to me, Pat's taught me, pretty much everything there is to know about fashion. And so, yeah, you let the man go to work, and smiley face is awesome and very recognizable. So that's how it came about.
It's a good combo, isn't it? I think it's a great combo. Yeah. I knew about the push-pull. We talked that, but yeah, I didn't know the logo. But now I love the linking of it. It's fantastic. It's like this little logo behind us, mate. Look at our little logo. It's great.
Oh, 100%. I love it.
We're doing all right. It's just because I can't find anywhere to sit in my house. I have to sit in front of something. So I've got a curtain now. I've got actually the
I
curtain for
love it.
the study. I got in lots of trouble, but anyway. Hey, you did some stuff in April, some really cool T-shirts, right? These are one thing I want to reckon. These are older than you guys. So how did you decide this was the Max will pop these up? How did you decide this was the sort of style you wanted to get to? You know, because I
Yeah.
love these. I think these are really cool.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. Well, I think with these two teas is, I mean, obviously a big part of PushPull is the vintage element and being sustainable with the planet. And yeah, so we love, we're thrifting all the time, traveling the world thrifting, on the internet thrifting, just any which way we can get our hands on nice old pieces of clothing. And as you can see, these two items, yeah, just typical curated thrift. And then we thought we'd spice them up a little bit. The Space Jam t-shirt we dyed. And I thought this one for me came out really, really wild. I mean, both of them I thought was just hilarious because we found the Tarzo collection book, which you're probably pretty familiar with. And
I was
we
going to say, that was the next thing I wanted to talk about. Space Jam Tarzo is like, that took me back. I was like, Jesus,
yeah,
what the hell are
yeah,
you doing?
crazy, yeah. So we had those from childhood, and then we just a big thing for me with our photo shoots is I mean, and it's a big focus for Push Pull is we hate sort of conventionalism. Like we don't really like shooting on white walls, and
Yeah.
I mean we have and I mean we have done, and it's the easiest thing to do because it's just like But wherever we can spice things up, like if you look at that Mad magazine book, that we play on that little bit of like, I guess like a bit of humor with Dennis Rodman being a mad man. So it's like, let's have the Mad magazine, and that's just, yeah, we just try to keep things really lighthearted. And I guess with a little, like both. So for me growing up, mum and dad are both full-time artists and dad's an art teacher. And it kind of comes naturally just to do things in, I guess, an arty sort of way. I don't know.
And I think that's really good, right? I think we've talked about this before. Your conventional stuff is garbage, right? Anyone can do the conventional, but you like to be different. That's what I love about your stuff, right? We've talked heaps about this. Hey, that's a good segue about, we'll talk a bit more serious. I know there's some serious stuff that's going on in the world and you're into this. So you did a shoot, right? And you did a date on it. We'll bring this photo up, right? It had the 26th of May, and this is a pretty important date. So this was, and I read about this. So again, not being on white backgrounds, we'll talk about that a bit later, but tell me about this and tell me the effect this had on you, mate.
Yeah, so this was a really wild one for me personally because we'd done a pop-up shop here the year before, obviously in May, and we'd painted the little garage where we were and things like that, so you can see in the background. And then obviously having George Floyd's death on the 26th of May in Australia, and right around that time, I was just sort of questioning a lot of things and just with the whole landscape of, I guess when you run a business, it's a good little way to look at it. It's like you have a vehicle to meet a lot of people and make a little bit of a difference, obviously, depending on where you're at the stage. But for us, just slowly gaining that ability to affect a few more people with our platform. And so I was just going through old photos and just reflecting on like the years that we've had, and just really gathering my thoughts on sort of the whole racist thing and the protest. And then I got really taken back because I looked at this photo on May the 26th, and it sort of just hit me that a year to that date, it was one of our first pop-up shops. And I don't know. Yeah, it's just a hard thing to sort of fathom right now. I mean, I've done a lot of reading into the Indigenous community, and a lot of my studies sort of revolve around that. And I just think personally, it all kind of comes back to education and really informing ourselves and understanding what's going on. And I spoke to a lot of friends around this time, and you might echo this, but a lot of people were really uninformed about what's going on with the Indigenous community. They didn't realize there was 434 incarcerated deaths since 1991. And a lot of these like disparities with education and incarceration and death and mental health rates are skyrocketing. It's just like, don't get me wrong, that what happened in America was definitely sort of the catalyst of really getting our brains to flick over and think about what's happening here. But if you think there's just a disparity in America and not in Australia, then we've been living in maybe the privileged bubbles that we sometimes find ourselves in. But so that was just sort of that. It was a bit of a springboard for me and for the business, and we're really actively trying to change and just do everything we can. And, sometimes you feel insignificant, but if we all sort of do our little part, I think we can, build towards something.
Hey mate, you've said so much there. It's like, I think the bit that we've all got, I think you and I have grown up is American culture is easy to get, right? We can get that anywhere. It's Australian culture that we're really suffering. I think, I did some stuff and I was reading again, and my issue's been is I know more about the American stuff that's happening than the Australian. Exactly like you said, right? The Aboriginal stuff here is just important for us. And I think that's the bit about being informed, as Australians. I think that's the bit that I'm disappointed in myself in, right? I thought, it happens, but and that's, like you said, that's our privileged little white bubble, unfortunately, that we've all got to get out of. And the only way to do it is to be informed. And like you said, and I love it, mate, you say some amazing stuff. Hey, but one of the things I love is you don't just talk about it, you actually do something, right? So you pulled out this T-shirt, which Max will bring up, which did a phenomenal thing. So let's quickly talk about the T-shirt, and let's talk about the impact the T-shirt had, because this T-shirt was something I really love, mate. So talk about this for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think straight away we just thought, where can we make a difference? And obviously our clothing at the moment is probably our biggest voice. So yeah, just releasing the merch there, just trying to get that message across. And yeah, it took me maybe an hour to think of the design, just push for justice, pull the races, and then, Vincent, our screen printer, he's a weapon. So he was ready to rock on those and, ready to pump them out, and he did. And yeah, it was great. We had really great support. We raised over $1,000 for Children's Ground organisation, which is a really great organisation that really promotes education from youth. And I think you got to start from the grassroots level and build up. It's really hard to, work with like people that aren't really willing to be educated. So you got to start when they're young, and that's, I guess, for both Indigenous and non-Indigenous people. But it doesn't mean we can't try. But yeah, so those went really well. And then recently released the table. I'm not sure if we're getting into that a bit later.
Hey, leave that. That's my finisher. Don't talk about the table. That's my finisher.
Good. Good. No worries.
Yeah. Hey, I want to bring up the graphic about the donation, because that's really important. So Max has got that as well. So you boys did some amazing stuff. $1,000 straight in the kitty, and you did it. What was it? Only a couple of days, wasn't it? It was really quick.
Yeah. So I think within maybe like 3-4 days, everyone just really supported it, and we were really backing it. And yeah, it was great. And we managed to get the T-shirts out to everyone, and everyone's been wearing them and supporting the vibe. So I think that's it just shows how important the community is. And I think that's what we've written there, a difference made by the PushPull community, because it all comes back to we're just the people that are putting ideas out there. It's the community that drive it. And that's what they've been able to do, really. They've always been behind us since day one. So shout out to everyone.
That's exactly what I was about to say. You've done some amazing stuff, but it's your community, right? You're building this community of people, right? You could have written anything. Hey, this is what PushPull did, but you always talk about community. You're always amazing. Hey,
Thanks,
there was something really nice in that black with the T-shirt that I really liked. There's a hat, right? Something like this. It's a really good hat. These are amazing hats.
Yeah,
like this.
love
that. Look at my merch. Looks good. Oh, it looks good. Yeah, I don't know about the background. I need to get you a new background. I need to get the PushPull, some little PushPull logos up.
Little smiley faces. Yeah.
Hey, I want to say thank you. These rock. I'm not allowed. You know what? My wife's been giving me grief about it. She goes, "You look like a trucker. You look like an old middle-aged trucker." I was like, "Hey, I'm trying to keep hip with the young people, Paulie. I'm trying to keep hip." So yeah, I love it. I like wearing it out. She won't let you wear it out with her. So it's like, you're trying to be 15. I'm like, no, I'm trying to be me. So hey,
that's funny.
Thank you for these hats, mate. Maxie's got one. We both love it. We're going to work them out. I've done a few interviews with them just to keep plugging you
Thanks,
I better talk some sort of shoes here. We haven't talked much sneakers, but I wanted to talk some really important stuff. Hey, let me ask you about, when you do your model shoots, there's some really cool sneakers you've got in there. Who picks that stuff? Is that Pat or is that you? Who's picking the sneakers in your shoots?
I mean,
these are beautiful pairs.
Yeah, those are beautiful. Yeah, the 4s are nice. Yeah, it's funny how they're sort of re-releasing a lot of those now, aren't they, with the different colours. But yeah, I mean, you see the little Lance Mountains in the background too.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what are those in the background? I don't know what they are. Oh, is that Nikes? Yeah, they are too. Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah, Lance Mountains. But yeah, mostly me, Pat, Vincent have sort of always been around. I mean, for Pat, it's always been Dunks. He's loved those for a long time. And then I tell you, I mean, we've obviously definitely touched on this in our previous podcast, but this is such a funny one. I thought about this during the week that through my travels in America from when I started in 2008, and then have been 4 times probably to 2019. So in those 4 visits, and anyone that's ever been to the States has just seen, like, it's all it ever was from 2008 when I was there until all the way till now has just been, really baggy jeans and really, every time kind of high top Jordan and that type of vibe. And it just never, ever, ever, ever translated into Australia, that vibe for the longest of time. And every time I'd go back, I would see it and I would go, same thing in America. I'd come back to Australia. No, it's still not happening until I'd say maybe as of the last year, everyone's, and I would say just before probably the Last Dance documentary, and then naturally propelled it. And yeah, everyone's on the straight leg jean, really baggy jean and really high top Jordan. So that's what we play with a lot. Being, I guess, it sounds kind of cringy, but just being sort of I guess an advocate for that look, because it's still kind of easing its way into Melbourne, Australia.
Definitely. And I think Melbourne wants to be part of that stuff, but they don't want to be. It's sort of that weird stuff. We all want to be involved, but then you go, we don't want to be that involved. So, it's almost like that thing is we want to be there, but we don't want to be too out in front. But like, you're right, this Jordan craze and just the reseller market, it has been big, but the last, I reckon, 12 months has just got off the charts, right? It's
definitely.
Really interesting. It's a really interesting space, right? Things are selling out. And then, like, there was an interesting one just this weekend, the Jordan 6, that came out. The hair one. They had them on Foot Locker. All right. I looked in the morning for one of our blokes and said, hey, they got a pair of 12s. He looked at night, they were done. They're in the reseller stores for like $450 that afternoon. It's amazing.
Yeah. Move quick.
Totally changed in our world, right? And that's something that's really different here. Hey, I've got one last thing. You touched on it. I saw some hilarious videos with this thing. Tell me how this came about. You know what I'm going to talk about? It's coming up. This is, if I had a senior auction, I would have paid for this. I love this. It's unbelievable. I love it.
Yeah. This is a really funny one. I mean, I was doing a little bit of Instagram surfing, as we all do, and I was going down the feed, and I saw something relatively similar to this table from a friend of a friend that sort of sparked the idea in my head. But it was very different. We're talking plants and coffee, and it was a different vibe. And then I thought, I have this like push-pull lens on in my eyes. Like, even when I'm reading books, I'm always thinking, like maybe I could use that quote for a T-shirt, or that's how I kind of think. And I looked at this table and I thought, oh yeah, I think we can do an idea. So I called Vincent being the most hands-on, hardworking guy in the industry. And I call him and I go, hey, you think we could get this to work? And he's like, yeah, I think we could get it working. So within literally 6 days, he whipped it up really quickly. And yeah, which I was just astounded, because I still, the idea was so raw when I was sort of thinking about it, and for him to just get it so nicely. But yeah, so went on auction. I thought, we sold $1,000 worth of T-shirts, but maybe we can make a difference again. I think we fetched maybe $670 for this. So, which was just amazing. Just again, the community just shows up. Like when I post this stuff, I'm not sure how it'll go. I'm not sure how it'll be received, but it's always received so well. Thanks to everyone in the community. It's pretty simple.
I think it's because of where it comes from, mate. We've touched on it. Hey, Max, can you just put that back up? Got to ask Jess about the sneakers, mate. We're going to talk about the sneakers on that thing. What are those sneakers?
Yeah, wave runners. Yeah, the 700s.
You need to get one of these. You know what we can do? I reckon we get like a classic Jordans or something like that. These will sell. We get a pair of Jordan ones.
I'll announce it here. We are absolutely doing another table, and it's absolutely going to have a pair of Jordan 1s on it. So
my God.
Just stay tuned.
Let me know. I'm in. We might get in on this. Definitely.
Yeah, they're pretty crazy.
I love it. Again, it's another amazing thing. I love your stuff. I'm not sure, if it's for old blokes like me, but I love your stuff. Where you have your stuff. Me, I'm understated. We've talked about this before. I like your things.
Yeah.
I like it.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
No, it's amazing. Hey, thank you again, mate. I'm not going to hold you up. You are an amazing person. Again, thank you for spending half an hour with me, mate. I could do it every day.
Legend, man.
We will get you back on a Spilling the Kicks. We might even get Patrick on. I reckon we need to get Pat on one of the Spilling the Kicks, and he can.
Yeah. He'll have a lot to say.
Thank you again, friend. We'll speak to you really soon, Jess.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a good day. See ya.
You too, mate.